Okay, part 13 of the truck project, AU independent rear end. As it turns out, these things have a flange to flange wheel track of 63 inches, and while the Jag front end, Series 3 Jag front end has a wheel track of 61, that's not a lot of difference, but I was hoping to keep the wheel track on this thing equal to front to rear. So basically I'm aiming at a 61 inch wheel track for the rear. So amongst other discoveries I've made, I'm going to basically cut the cage down by 2 inches, and in doing so that will bring these lower control arms, and the geometry will stay the same. Basically it'll bring everything in 2 inches, and flange to flange I'll be looking at a 61 inch wheel track. So anyway, I've started to cut here for my narrowing. Basically that section there, that's 1.5 inches at the moment, but it'll lose 1 inch of that, and basically I'll have to basically cut this in the middle. That'll lose 2 inches, it'll lose 1 inch here, and basically it'll all come back together minus 2 inches. These two holes for the original Ford diff mounting, they will remain, but as for the center, the good old internet and homework on the internet, I've discovered that the M80 center out of a late model Commodore is the same, well, basically the same diff center as the AU type center. I mean, the AU center uses the 79 series gears, whereas the late Commodore, which is probably a stronger center, it uses the M80 gears, which are generally a stronger center. And what's going to happen is, as well as using the Commodore diff center, which will be needs to be centered in the cage. As you can see, the original Ford AU diff hat is offset, so basically I've discovered I can't use that diff hat, and the Commodore diff hat, yeah, it's probably much the same. So looks like I'll have to fabricate a metal diff hat, and those two bolts will be basically centered to keep that diff central into the cage. And in doing so, what will happen is that means I'll be using two equal length drive shafts. Now the drive shafts, that's another story in itself. The drive shafts, basically the two on the left are the original AU Falcon ones for the wider track. Now these two darker ones to the right are the Holden ones, and what's going to happen is basically I'll be using these Holden ones as they are a better design, probably take a little bit more horsepower than the original Ford design ones, and I'll have to design something to drive the wheel hubs. So I'll investigate further. I've got some theories, but anyway, when I get those machined up, I'll put them on. But basically, yeah, it's AU independent rear end now with Holden Commodore drive shafts, Holden Commodore center, and yeah. So also to just in the works. While everything's apart, we're going to upgrade the brakes somewhat at the rear as well. So that rotor there, that's a 330mm GT type rotor, the ventilated rotor, which is basically slipped straight onto the AU hub, and courtesy of good old eBay, I've scored these massive 4-pot brembos for the rear. I've got a matching set for the front, which are even bigger again. Anyway, I'll be putting I don't know what size rotors on the front, but it could be 330 front and back, could be 340 front, I don't know. But anyway, this thing's going to have some serious brakes on it, so it should pull up pretty good. Don't know how fast it's going to go, but anyway, it should pull up pretty quick. But yeah, that's the story so far. Holden shafts, replacing the Ford ones, slightly narrower track on the diff cage, and a Commodore diff center in lieu of the Ford center. But then that will ultimately mean I'll be using pretty much, and I don't really want to say this, but I'll be using a Commodore diff tail shaft and gearbox. So there you go. Yeah, I'd like to make life hard for myself, but anyway, that's what's happening so far. Just a quick update. Yeah, day's come to a close now. I'll pack all this up, and yeah, I'll next video I'll probably have this. I'll have this thing tacked together, and I'll try to fit it into the frame. Basically, the big problem is here that this cage, those top pivot points basically come out at 30.5 inches apart, and the distance between the rails in this F1 truck is 29. So I need to lose, I needed to lose 2 inches to make this fit up into the chassis better, and the ½ inch is just a little bit of clearance. So yeah, that's the theory behind it, just to get this frame higher up into the original truck frame, and pretty much have an equal wheel track front and back. And now we're going for a slightly heavier duty diff setup, and yeah, some brakes that are should pull this thing down from warp drive to a slow crawl in a matter of seconds. Anyway, short video. That'll do for now. I'll come up with something for part 14. Cheers.